Welcome to another chapter podcast with your hosts, Claire and Rebecca.
Do you love books? Well, you've come to the right place. Join us as we discuss all things books.
Welcome to chapter 1 of season 2 of Another Chapter, the podcast.
Yay!
We are delighted to be back. We took a little bit of time out because life happened, and we said that we would come back again in January with a fresh start, with an amazing giveaway, and lots of chats to come.
Yeah.
Rebecca, how have you been?
I have been good, busy, I suppose. Not quite in the same way as yourself, but
Yeah.
I went back teaching part-time this year. Well, as in this year now, since September, the school year. So when the farming calmed down, that kind of started, which is a whole other kettle of fish. Kept the reading up though, in fairness. But just time seems to have flown, even though it feels like forever since we recorded an episode. It also doesn't seem like that long ago since we were in the thick of finishing up season 1. So, where
Yeah.
has the time gone?
I know. It has flown by, I have to say. And I've missed it. I've really missed this.
Yeah.
Just that little bit of
so-
time for ourselves to just sit down and chat about something that we're both genuinely interested in.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I said I would start off the season with a tradition from last year. So I am raising a glass to you to say Happy New
I
Year.
will raise my drink as well.
And to you.
Happy New Year. Happy New
So,
Year to
Happy New Year. Yeah.
podcasts
Everyone.
and to everyone. Yeah.
Can you believe that it's 2024?
Yeah, I know. I don't know where time has gone. And to think that we were launching the podcast at the end of 2022. So when you put it that way, it sounds like this has been gone
Yes.
forever, even though it really has only been probably maybe 9 months of that time that we were actually recording, you know.
Yeah.
But obviously there was the big lead up behind the scenes of getting everything ready for it. And even since we kind of finished
a lot of work.
even since we finished kind of season 1, we're constantly in touch, kind of throwing out ideas and discussing what we could be doing for this new season, and any changes we wanted to make, what we wanted to keep, what we thought would work better, what should work differently. Taking feedback from
Yeah.
people.
It's been interesting to see how it fits in, doing the podcast, how it fits into our lives was a big thing. We could talk for hours on end, and then it, obviously the editing then took ages on top of that. So we've kind of decided that we're going to do kind of some smaller episodes, chatty episodes.
Yeah.
We still have our read along. We still have interviews.
Yes.
And possibly just a few not small, but some shorter. Knowing us, they'll still be as long, to be fair, once we start
I
talking.
remember
we won't
one
stop.
of our aims at the start was nice short episodes for people to listen to, and then no matter what we tried to aim for time-wise,
Yeah.
we were rarely hitting under an hour. But I suppose when it's only maybe 1/2 episodes a month, that wasn't too bad. But yeah, I think because we're both that bit busier this year, there will probably be a lot more of us just jumping on, having a chat about what is happening books-wise with our lives at the moment, or what we've been reading, what has come up, and maybe a bit more of that, as well as all the good stuff from last year.
Speaking of good stuff, I was thinking that we could start this year by just maybe introducing some of the challenges that we've come up with and talk a little bit about the competition that we've got going on at the
Excellent.
moment.
Yeah, so I can chat about the challenges, sure. So I use Storygraph a lot. You use it as well, Claire, and it's become super popular, especially in the last number of years. For anyone that doesn't know what it is or isn't using it, it's basically where you can track your reading. Goodreads would be a very popular, kind of well-known alternative. Um, but Storygraph is great because it gives a bit more insight into, I suppose, the interesting, and I say that to someone who is very nerdy, i.e. myself, um, or as someone who's very nerdy, the interesting kind of details behind your reading habits and what you've read in the year and so on. So I thought it would be really nice to set up a couple of challenges. So one thing that actually we did last year that kind of happened quite naturally out of the podcast was encouraging
Mhm.
people to read more nonfiction.
Which I failed miserably at.
I There were definitely a few months that I could have done better. But I think definitely last year really taught me that I'm very much a mood reader. Like December was basically just romance for
Yeah,
me. I read very little besides romance. I just wasn't in the headspace for it.
yeah,
Sometimes it's easier said than done, I suppose, to kind of deliberately pick up something. But we're hoping that people will get on
yeah,
board again. And some people were brilliant to do it last year. That one nonfiction book a month at least. And that's that challenge, 12 nonfiction books for 2024. And the second one then is we came up with a variety of different prompts. Suggestions for kind of a category of book, 20 of them altogether, and that people can get involved in that then as well if they want. And we are thinking that our read along books will tie into those prompts as well.
yeah,
So, one simple one would be like something with a yellow cover, that could apply to lots of different things. It applied to a couple of our books from last year. Um,
yeah.
just to get people kind of thinking, maybe looking at what's on their shelves or, library holes that they have. Yeah, we're hoping people will get on board with the two of those.
And we will have trackers shared on our Instagram page as well. So if you want to follow along and post up whatever books that you've read and keep track of it that way, you're more than welcome to take a screenshot of those and share them on your pages.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd love to see what people are actually reading, because I was talking to a couple of people at the end of last year now, which was yesterday. But I was talking to people about what nonfiction books they would recommend, because I found last year it was quite a busy year for me, expecting and then having another baby and stuff. I found that I couldn't read anything heavy, so I really fell off the bandwagon with a lot of my reading. And
Yeah.
a part of me was kind of disappointed, but then look, it is what it is, and you go through different cycles at different stages in life and stuff. But nonfiction in particular can be quite intense if you don't know what you're getting yourself into sometimes, I think, with books.
Yeah.
So I was trying to suss out what people had read and what they enjoyed and stuff. And yeah, it was just nice to see what people would be thinking along the lines of nonfiction. And a lot of people still would say that they need to read more nonfiction. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the thing, like you said, with nonfiction is that the people, especially like memoirs, autobiographies, that kind of thing, they tend to be people who have experienced a lot and often quite a lot of negativity,
Yeah.
which means you're very much getting into someone else's head and often kind of reliving trauma with them, things like that. It's very rare that I've read a nonfiction book, again, be it an autobiography or something else, someone writing about an event or whatever, that isn't, or it's very rare to find one that's just positive, very positive, no negativity in it, because that's not life.
Yeah.
That's not life. So, as you said, nonfiction tends to be something you kind of need to be in the mindset for, or need to kind of want to read at
Mhm.
that time. So it is, I suppose, it's too easy to dismiss it in a way. Much easier to pick up something a lot, less heavy. But
Lighter. Yeah.
but it's important to read these stories at the same time, which is why we want to encourage it and want to encourage ourselves. It's making ourselves accountable as well.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So if anyone went with Storygraph in terms of how to join the challenges, we'll put the links in our stories over the coming months. And if anyone needs a hand, you can DM either of us just about how to add books to it and
Mhm.
so on. But we'll have the trackers then as well, which you can use on Instagram.
On Storygraph as well, one thing that you forgot to mention there was that all the information, although that nerdy information that you love, is presented visually. So you get like
Yeah.
pie charts and bar charts and everything, and it's all color coded and it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
I much prefer. I'm quite a visual learner.
Yeah, same. And even
Yeah.
like yesterday when I logged in, or was it this morning when I logged in, my wrap up of the year was there. and like
Mhm.
that. It was even there's one section in it which is like the tone of the books you read, like how light or dark are they? And like you could see there was a stage where
Mhm.
like an awful lot I was reading of what I was reading was quite heavy. And then towards the end of the year, as I said, it all got a bit lighter because I suppose reality was very like we'll say like what's happening in the news and
Mhm.
abroad and stuff at the moment is tough, very tough, and we are consuming a lot of that
Mhm.
on social
Yeah.
media and so on. So the my book choices then tended to be a lot, kind of the very opposite. But like I thought that was very interesting, as in
Yeah.
just to see how
I
what the
saw
trends
that. Did
like
you share that
are.
graph on your story
I
today?
did, I did, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it too.
excuse me. Someone I follow, Haley, like hers, like mine was kind of starting in the middle and then dipped a lot as the year went on, and then back like into the middle, as in it kind of got lighter as the year went on.
Mhm.
But hers was basically just like green at the top of the chart, the whole thing. And she was laughing, saying like you can just see the books she reads were very much
Yes.
escapist, and they were all very light in tone, or books that kind of were there to make her happy. Like, and she said like she would have said that anyway, but to see
Yeah,
a literal chart going, yeah,
I think
that's what
it's
you were
true.
reading.
Yeah,
It's just I find it very interesting. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. So do you want to tell people about our competition,
Yes.
Claire?
So
The big competition that we've been
whoop, whoop.
waiting
Yeah.
for months now.
Yes. So towards the end of season one, and I'm just going to flip over there to the podcast page on our Instagram account, just so I can make sure that I'm not forgetting anyone or anything. We decided that we would run a giveaway with a book from every person that we interviewed in season one. And so we have got No One Saw a Thing from Andrea Mara, which is signed.
Mm-hmm.
The Trap by Catherine Ryan Howard. We have The Matchmaker from Catherine Walsh, which is also signed, and
Mm-hmm.
The Last Lifeboat from Hazel Gaynor, which is signed,
Yeah.
which absolutely won my favorite book of the year last year, like
Really?
hands down.
Because actually,
Adored
I'd
her.
seen that you put up your like top three, and I was wondering which one
Yeah.
you went with.
I actually need to post it because I was talking to so many people actually were messaging saying like I really love The Stranding, which I did, but then like I think The Last Lifeboat, I just couldn't. It'll never
Yeah.
leave me, you know. So I think that's what won it for me. We have Whispering Hope with Stephen O'Riordan, and we have This Is Not About You by Rosemary McCabe. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed that last year as well. And then Sinead Cudahy from Tired Mommy Book Club recommended Isaac and the Egg in her episode, and that's the book that she would like for us to give away for the giveaway. And then Aoife Little Cass Reads said How to Build a Boat by Elaine Feeney would be the one that she would
Mm-hmm.
recommend. So that's the book that we have there. And we have Where I End by Sophie White, and I think that's a signed copy. You have all the books,
Yes, it
Rebecca.
is.
I
Yeah.
don't know why I'm pretending like I remember which ones are signed. Oh, so yeah, and we have your self scribbler then from Chloe as well. So a lovely journal. I need to buy one of them. I keep saying it. But you know, and the last thing you do is get something for
I know.
yourself.
I know.
That's on my
Always,
list now of
always the
things to
case.
do.
But like that list of books is so good. And actually, interestingly enough, it has both of our top books of the year. So the Hazel Gaynor one is yours,
Yeah, and yours
and
is?
my favorite book of the year was How to Build a Boat,
Oh,
Elaine Feeney.
there we go.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with
like
that.
I had two kind of I had a top two that on a different day now you could ask me and I could say the other one, but by and large, I think How to Build a Boat kind of pips it to the
What
post.
was the other one?
Um, In Memoriam by Alice Wynne.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that.
Oh my god! Like it's like what you said about the Hazel Gaynor book. They both I've just every so often they just come into my head and I'm like, oh, what a great book!
Yeah.
Like what a great book. And I think that is like just the sign of a favorite book, that it might like it may or may not be the best written book in the world, and to be fair, they usually are.
Hmm.
If it gets to that point in your top list, but it's how it makes you feel and your reaction to it is
That's
what
it.
makes it
Yeah.
a favorite. So yeah, both of our favorite books of the year, which is great.
Yes. Some absolute smashing books in this way.
Plenty of
Yeah.
books there. Like, and as well, there's a real variety of genres. There's a
Mhm.
good few nonfiction. Well, there's a few
Yeah.
nonfiction. We have total variety there in terms of like we've romance. We have I'm not sure why you categorize Where I End as
Oh,
kind of a horror.
yeah. Like
Okay.
Disturbing
Yeah.
for Life is what I would categorize that one as. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like again,
yeah,
unputdownable. Such a great book.
thrillers, historical fiction. Um, like there's a range
Mhm.
there. And even if people have read them, chances are, I suppose, with the way kind of the trends are in terms of buying books or borrowing books, like people might have borrowed them from the library and might not have a copy. They might have read them online, on an ebook format, and now they're getting a copy. Or even if you have a copy already, you now may have a signed copy.
Yeah.
Or you might have a second copy that you would like to pass on to someone. So
Yeah.
it's it's a
I
fantastic
really,
prize.
really, really wish that I could enter this.
I know, I know.
I'm just staring at these
This is
books going, "Oh my God," like, and the fact that some of them are signed as well, for me, like, I would be just fangirling over things like that, but yeah,
yeah,
it is an amazing prize, and I would be
yeah.
saying that if anybody was running this competition, like, do you know, I just think it's great.
Oh, I know, I know.
Um,
Yeah. So we're very excited about that, and that's running until the 11th.
yes,
So we're doing kind of 10
for the
days
10 books,
because
yeah.
there's 10 books.
To enter it, just if anyone is listening to this and they haven't seen our post yet, just go to our Instagram page, Another Chapter Podcast. There's full stops in between all the words. Like the post, follow us, then drop a comment below and either tag a friend or suggest a podcast topic that you'd like for us to talk about or an interviewee that you would love to hear on the podcast.
Hmm.
You don't have to share it to your stories, but obviously that's always great. And if you want a bonus entry, you can take a screenshot on your phone of wherever you're following our podcast and send it to us in our DMs so we know you're subscribed. And then you get a second chance to win all of those fantastic books.
We will be like Santa, double and triple checking the lists
Yeah.
when we pick our winner to make sure that everyone has adhered to those rules. And like there's nothing outrageous there. It's nothing that
Yeah.
I'm not asked to do on Instagram
Yeah.
regularly anyway. So
So best of luck to
yeah, so
everybody with that one. I think that would be a nice way to start your 2024, I have to say. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they're not going to buy any books, that they're kind of trying to do shop their shelves.
yeah,
So this would be a very nice way of getting your hands on really nice books without having to put your fingers into your pocket
excellent. Yeah.
or click your phone for your Apple Pay, whatever it is that you use.
So maybe just to finish up this little mini episode, we might just have a quick chat about what we're reading at the moment. So Claire,
Yeah.
what is in your possession reading wise?
At the moment, I am listening to Until the Streetlights Come On by Ginny Urick. And if
Right.
anybody is following me, they know that I am a huge fan of Ginny's. She has founded the 1000 Hours
Ah,
Outside
yes,
movement, which I talk
yes.
about at the start of every year, like whether it's podcast or just in friend conversations or whatever. It's something that I really, really am interested in. So it's one of her own books, and it's talking about how returning to play can kind of basically provide your kids with all of the necessary skills that they need stepping into their
Yeah.
futures, which I think is great. One thing that she mentioned actually, and I'm not going to ramble on about this because I could talk about this all day, but she was saying that childhood goes by really quickly, which I think you would
Hmm.
agree with, and I would agree with. Um, and she said that something about being outside, and it has been a proven fact, is that it kind of makes time feel like it's slowing down a little bit. And when if I had listened to that and not really experienced it, I would kind of say, nah, maybe
Yeah.
not, or whatever. Like, but you could be on your phone for 2.5 hours
Yeah,
and you
actually, yeah, I
barely
get where you're
even
going with
notice.
this. Yeah.
But we went out the other day to a local woodland area and we started our 1000 hours outside challenge, sorry, that day. And we spent 2.5 hours outside. And I turned to my partner and I said, how long do you think we've been outside for? And he said, I don't know, like 3 or 4 hours. And it was 2.5 hours. So it does
Yeah.
feel longer when you're outside and you're not on your phone, you're just walking, chatting, exploring and stuff. And I just thought that was really interesting
Yeah.
because,
It's like you're getting more value
yeah,
for your time. Right.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm reading and I'm really, really enjoying it.
Excellent.
What about you?
So at the moment, I of course have about 40 books on the go. Well, not actually 40 books. But the main one that I am reading, sorry, there's two. An ARC, kind of an advanced copy of the debut novel by she's Laura Foley. It's called Flourish by the Night, and it is kind of billed as a contemporary romance. But what I'm actually finding is there's a lot more bite to it than a lot of the romance I read. Not
Oh.
that romance can't have in-depth topics or, a bit of kind of behind the scenes going on, but there's definitely a lot more. It feels like there's a lot more to these characters than your standard romance.
Mhm.
And I'm a big romance reader, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that in a negative way towards romance. But it's very interesting. Even from the first few pages, you felt like, oh, there's a lot going on with these people. And yeah, so that's great. That's out in the next couple of months. And
What's that called again?
it's called Flourish by the Night.
Okay.
And the second one is The Bee Sting
Oh,
uh,
yes.
by
Yeah.
Paul Murray. I have a copy of it with months, as in a physical copy of it. And it's a massive book, and I wanted to get it read before the Booker announcement and didn't get to it. And I had basically booked it on BorrowBox months ago, and it came through there over Christmas. So I've been listening to that, and that is excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent. It was one of those books that, despite reading the blurb, which is basically like it's a tragicomedy about a family, and you get like a point of view from the parents and the two kids kind of at different stages in their lives. Even though kind of the blurb says that, I don't think I fully grasped, how much detail it was going to get into and what was really going on in the story. And I'm very into it. It's just a very long book. That's the main thing. I probably wouldn't
Okay.
have finished otherwise at this point. But even on audio, it's nearly 24 hours. I think it's 23 and
Oh, that's long.
hours. Yeah, yeah. And I think I've about 11 hours left on audio.
Okay.
But yeah,
Got
that's
okay.
that's me at the moment. They're both
Brilliant.
very good in two very, very different ways.
I'm delighted that we're able to say that we're reading these books and that we're actually enjoying them, because there's bound to be an episode come where we say we're reading something and it's not necessarily for us. So
Yeah, yeah.
thumbs up on
If
all
we do
three
this bit.
books.
Like, I suppose we're not here to like bash books either. Like we
No.
both enjoy reading so much that we'll come on and talk about the books we really enjoy. And
Mhm.
maybe if something is not quite to our taste, we can say it in a nice way or just
Might make for a good conversation. Yeah.
yeah. Actually, yeah, it would be a good question. Like, do people like we'll say in general, like in reviews and stuff, do people want to hear like if something is terrible? Like from your point of view. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I mean that in general on Instagram. Like, do people want to see the 1 and 2 star reviews, or
I do.
do people only kind of want to see things that are
Glowing.
presented in in a positive way? Because again, like, yeah, like what I could love, you could hate. Do you know
You
what I
have
mean?
to be able to be critical about things too,
Yeah,
in a tactful way, because not everything is for everyone. Do you know?
yeah,
Didn't Marianne have a lovely quote that she said before? Just when we were talking about a book there recently, that
yeah,
we were all involved in this conversation. But she said, and I will find it right now. Oh. So Marianne said in a group chat that we were all in about a certain buddy read there recently, she said, there are books for everyone, but not every book is for every person, which I
yeah,
think makes an awful
yeah,
lot of sense, because you can read books that I would
yeah,
not enjoy and vice versa. So I think it's important to see different people's
yeah, yeah,
perspectives, you know? Like, let's say you're not necessarily a bookstagrammer, but you follow a lot of book related pages, and you might say, I relate more to the way that
yeah,
Rebecca reads over the way that Claire reads. And if you rate a book highly and I don't, you know, or vice versa, that, you know, people can get different
yeah.
perspectives
No,
on
I would like.
things.
I'm always
Or we,
interested
yeah.
in the
Oh,
lower reviews as well, but like that, I like to see why, not just I hated this book. It was
yeah.
terrible. Like, I kind of want to know, and I suppose that's probably the teacher in us as well. We're kind of going, but why? But why?
Yeah.
And if you can give a good
Yes. Tell me why.
if
Tell
you can
me
give a
why.
good explanation for something, then the person has to accept that answer. Do you know what I mean? When it's
Yeah.
an opinion based thing.
Yes. Your opinion is never invalid once you can back it up.
Exactly.
That's one of my choice
So
phrases.
yeah, like, we won't be coming out here slamming books, but yeah, if we ask the question, what are we reading, and maybe it isn't quite for us, then yeah, that conversation could be had as well.
Mhm.
Sinead?
Okay.
Sinead?
Yep. Yes. Gen A, episode 1.
Thanks for the chats. It was great to be back.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really nice.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Another Chapter podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to keep the book conversation going.
Thank you to Helen Becerra for the graphics, Mark Neville for the mixing, and to each of our contributors. Music is Make It Work by All Good Folks.
Don't forget to follow along on Instagram at Another Chapter Podcast. We'll see you there.